A group of 5 ballerinas is rehearsing for a competition under the supervision of their instructor, Thorna. During practice, a girl named Bones arrives late, prompting Princess to make fun of her. Losing her patience, Bones punches her teammate in the face, forcing the teacher to step in and break them up. Thorna reminds Bones that their trip to Budapest is the next day and that she needs to behave, since Princess's family funds the academy. Bones replies by pointing out that ballet is only for rich people. Later, the group sets off on their trip to Hungary in a school bus after losing their luggage and having their flight rerouted. However, the situation takes a turn for the worse when their vehicle breaks down in the middle of a dirt road surrounded by a forest and it starts to rain. The girls, along with their teacher, are forced to get off the bus and walk through the area until they find a place called Teremok, which operates as an inn. Upon entering the establishment, they are greeted by Ozip and his brother Yuri, who offer them shelter while they wait to arrange transportation. Noticing they are soaked, a worker named Sona hands them white ballet outfits to change into while their clothes dry. The place is full of men gambling and playing games, though this doesn't stop Chloe, Zoe's sister, who happens to be deaf, from noticing a young man named Artyom singing on stage. Seconds later, Devora, the owner of the place, makes her appearance. She tells them that she used to be a ballerina herself in the past and offers to get them a ride to the competition. Meanwhile, some men led by Pasha enter the hall, and one of the workers hands him an envelope, warning him that he must give it to his father. The conflict kicks off when Thorna accompanies Chloe to the bathroom. While waiting outside, she hears noises coming from a nearby room. She decides to peek inside and discovers Devora torturing a man over a money issue. Shaken by the situation, the instructor goes down to the main hall to look for the girls, not realizing that Chloe is still in the bathroom. When she gets downstairs, she notices the dancers are on stage performing a routine to a piano song. Thorna tries to gather the group to leave immediately, but at that moment, Pasha approaches her with the intention of harassing her and grabs her by the neck. The teacher defends herself by kicking him in the groin, which causes the man to pull out a gun and shoot her in the back, killing her right in front of all the girls. Panic breaks out in the hall. Although Bones tries to make a run for the door, Devora's workers catch her. The owner scolds Pasha for his actions and orders her employees to lock the dancers in the basement so there are no witnesses. Ozip takes the young women to a room downstairs where Grace begins to hyperventilate from anxiety. Ozip takes advantage of this by giving her a piece of candy, assuring her it will make her feel better, even though the candy contains a drug that quickly begins to take effect. On the other hand, Sona interrogates the girls to find out if anyone else knows they are there. Although Bones tries to lie and say a lot of people are looking for them, a drugged Grace confesses that no one has any idea where they are. Upstairs in the hall, Devora demands that Pasha give back the envelope with the money she had handed him. She reveals that for years, she has been paying quotas to the man's father, a boss named Lothar, but from that moment on she will stop doing so and is ready to face him if he decides to come looking for her. Right after, the owner makes a call to a guy known as the Doctor, asking him to come clean up the crime scene and get rid of the bodies, while Yuri gets orders to burn all of the teacher's IDs and belongings to leave no trace. Away from this mess, Chloe is still walking down the hallways without understanding what's going on until she runs into Artyom again, who turns out to be Devora's son, and they both head to a room. Back in the basement, Bones tells Grace to make herself throw up to get the drug out of her system. Once she does, they decide to pretend they are asleep. Ozip enters the room intending to assault Grace, but Bones uses the distraction to attack him by stabbing an object straight into his eye. A fight breaks out and spills over into the room where Princess and Zoe were locked up. Even though Ozip manages to grab Bones by the leg, threatening to ruin her ballet career, Grace steps in and hits him with a piece of armor. Finally, Bones uses her ballet moves to launch herself and push the man into a weapon, killing him. Following this, Bones turns to her teammates and makes it clear that the police aren't coming to rescue them, so they have to fight if they want to make it out of there. The girls gather their things, improvise weapons using objects from around the room, and start making their way through the hallways looking for a way out. They are soon discovered by Vlad and Fady, 2 of Pasha's men, who corner them in one of the rooms. However, the girls manage to partially close the door, and Bones stabs Fady in the nose with a pair of scissors to buy some time. The 4 decide to use their ballet training to their advantage, combining their agility and strength to dodge attacks and fight back. During the showdown, Bones ends up with a knife stuck in her foot, but she uses the embedded weapon to attack Vlad, while Grace destroys Fady, letting herself go in the heat of the moment. After this, they decide to rip pieces off various objects and jam them into the soles of their ballet slippers, turning their footwear into weapons to continue their escape. However, upon reaching one of the blocked exits, they realize they left Chloe behind on the upper floor, sparking an argument within the group. Princess decides she's not going to risk her life and splits from the rest to find her own way out, leaving Zoe, Bones, and Grace behind. The three of them head back to the center of the building to look for their friend. Meanwhile, Princess walks alone through the hallways until she accidentally wanders into a room and discovers the guy nicknamed the Doctor mutilating instructor Thorna's body. She decides to quietly back away, but on her way out, she bumps right into Saber, another of Devora's sons. To get out of the situation, she makes up an excuse about looking for a Wi-Fi connection and manages to trick the man into letting her go, walking away while she starts crying over everything that's happening. At the same time, Zoe, Bones, and Grace manage to track down Chloe, finding her sitting there eating popcorn and watching a movie, completely unaware of the murders. The girls notice she has a mark on her neck from her encounter with Artyom. Even though Chloe refuses to leave because the young man promised to give her a tattoo, her sister forcefully carries her so they can all escape together. Minutes later, the group manages to hide in the kitchen area, where they finally reunite with Princess, who tells them everything she saw regarding their instructor's body. While the girls try to process everything in the kitchen, Grace finds a landline phone on the wall, and Princess runs to try to call the police. But the device turns out to be very old and dials too slowly. At the same time, in the main hall, Pasha manages to contact his father Lothar to let him know that his men are dead and that he won't be able to get out, warning Devora that the big boss is already on his way with his entire crew. Although Devora pretends she doesn't care about the man's threat, she secretly takes out a chest full of C4 explosives to prepare for the imminent attack on her own turf. While in the kitchen, Zoe ties some blades to her sister Chloe's slippers so she can defend herself in case of danger. Suddenly, Saber enters the room looking for something to eat and discovers the girls hiding, so he reacts by cutting the phone cord just as Princess was asking the authorities for help and overpowers her to take away a shotgun that Bones had previously gotten in the office. However, Princess manages to break free and cuts his leg with the blade on her shoe, taking advantage of another teammate throwing a frying pan at the man's head to quickly grab the weapon back and shoot him right in the hand. Terrified by the gunshot, the 5 young women run down the hallways of the inn but are quickly surrounded by all of Devora's thugs who are hunting them on their boss's orders. At that moment, Bones takes the lead and tells them that the only way to survive is to fight as a real team using what they know how to do. Using their blade-modified slippers, the girls begin performing precise ballet moves to dodge blows and stab the thugs who were approaching and mocking them, splitting up in a coordinated way to take down all the men in the combat area. Nevertheless, one of the guys manages to survive, comes back armed with a high-caliber submachine gun, and starts firing bursts at the place where they are hiding, forcing them to improvise a Molotov cocktail with a bottle of alcohol and throw it at him to neutralize the threat once and for all. After this, the group discovers a window high up on the wall where they could escape outside, and they hurry to climb up to safety, but Sona appears out of nowhere firing a shotgun to try to stop them at the last second. Bones acts with extreme speed, forcefully disarms the woman, takes the shotgun, and kills her to clear the way out. With the path clear, Bones orders Princess to go out first, while she stays behind covering their rear by aiming the weapon. But at that very moment, Devora arrives, revealing that she has just planted explosives all over the building and that they have no escape. Bones tries to shoot her to protect her friends, but realizes the shotgun is out of ammo and fails to harm her, also discovering that the owner of the place has a prosthetic leg. Pasha shows up in the room looking for help or shelter, but Devora shoots him in the leg without hesitation, yelling at him that her fake limb is entirely his father's fault and that she is going to make him pay. While the rest of the girls manage to climb out the window and escape into the woods, Devora overpowers Bones and drags her away to her personal dressing room. Once locked inside, the woman starts doing her makeup in front of the mirror and tells the young ballerina that when she was 8 years old, she was going to debut in a major play as the Sugar Plum Fairy. But her father owed a lot of money to the Markovich family, and as punishment, they shot her in the leg, ruining her promising dance career forever. From that tragic day on, she planned her revenge step by step and kept Pasha close to her working at the place, waiting for the exact moment to make her hated enemy suffer. Devora puts on a classic ballet tutu, ready for the final confrontation she had wanted so badly, and leaves Bones at the mercy of the guy called the Doctor, who enters the room with his torture tools ready to rip out her nails and kill the girl. Outside the establishment, a large number of SUVs arrive at the place led by Lothar himself and his entire army of heavily armed thugs, at which point Devora contacts the criminal leader by phone to warn him that if he wants to get his son back alive, he will have to go inside the facility and look for him himself. At the same time, Princess makes the brave decision to split from the others and go back inside the dangerous building to rescue Bones, while Pasha manages to break free and escape the torture room where he was being held prisoner. Outside, Grace, Zoe, and Chloe watch Lothar's imposing army enter the place mercilessly and decide to head back inside to help their friends, discovering in horror along the way that all the walls are wired with C4 explosives ready to detonate. The 5 girls finally manage to reunite safe and sound in the hallways and catch Pasha again to use him as leverage. But suddenly the building's lights go out completely, and Devora appears in front of them holding the bomb detonator right in her hand. Bones, understanding the woman's pain, begs her not to press the button, appealing to their shared background as ballerinas and asking her to stop the massacre. So Devora decides to take Pasha as her personal hostage and yells at the young women to run out of there before the situation gets worse. While Lothar's men start firing bursts everywhere, destroying the furniture, Devora confronts the big crime boss face to face, reveals her true identity, and calls him out for destroying her life so he knows exactly who defeated him. Without a second thought, she presses the detonator, blowing the whole place to the ground and sacrificing herself along with Lothar, Pasha, and all the thugs present in a massive fireball. The brave ballerinas manage to run out of the building just seconds before the huge explosion and, wasting no time, steal the fallen criminals' motorcycles to make a quick getaway down the main road. The group rides at full speed, passing right by the same broken-down bus that had left them stranded at the beginning of their nightmare, and finally arrive safely in the city of Budapest. They go straight to the theater of the International Gala, where they step onto the grand stage in their white dresses, now completely stained with dried blood, to perform their highly anticipated dance routine, pulling off a successful performance and dedicating the emotional show to the memory of their fallen teacher.